You are listening to the ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast. ADHD Support Talk Radio is sponsored by addclasses.com. Sign up now for a free webinar by going to www.addclasses.com.
Hello, and welcome back to ADHD Support Talk Radio. I'm your co-host, Lynne, Edris, and I'm a productivity and ADHD coach. So I empower professionals to take control of their time and their lives so that they can fulfill their potential and have more time and energy for what matters most to them. You can learn more about me and what I do and the programs and services I offer at www.coachingadvantages.com. And when you text the keyword HACK, that's HACK, to the number 33777, I'll send you my 7 foolproof productivity hacks to help you add hours of free time to your weeks by investing just a few smart minutes each day. Well, today I have with me again our host and founder of ADHD Support Talk, Tara McGillicuddy. And we're going to talk in a moment about something that is a common struggle for those of us with ADHD, and that is the changes that happen to us as the seasons change. So welcome, Tara.
Hi, I'm glad to be back. And my name is Tara McGillicuddy, like Lynn said, and I'm a woman with ADHD myself. And I also help people shift their energy to lead happier and more productive lives. You can learn about me and the services I offer by going to taramcgillicuddy.com.
Awesome. This is a good topic for almost all of us with ADHD. It's something I hear a lot about from my clients. And we were talking before we started the recording that as the seasons change, there are lots of things that come into play, but a lot of us start to have kind of differences in how we feel, difference in our energy, differences in our mood. What do you see, Tara? I mean, what kinds of things do you see happening as the seasons change?
Well, I think people change, throughout the year for seasons, but as we're recording it right now, it's the very end of November. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're both like in the Northeast. In the daylight, there's lack of daylight. Like where I am, the sun sets at 10 past 4 p.m.
Wow.
I think it's like about a half hour earlier than where you are, and we're still in the same time zone. Yeah. So a lot of people get the doldrums, lack of energy and you also have, the Christmas season where people get into a funk, for lack of a better word, because of the holidays. But I think that change in season, the lack of sunlight, the decrease in vitamin D and light can really impact us, our energy, our mood, and physical well-being.
Absolutely. And for lots of reasons, and I think in lots of different ways, right? I know I've read, and off the top of my head, I'm never good with remembering exactly being able to quote like who said things or where I read something, but I've read a few things over the last year or so where scientists are starting to identify some differences in how we, as in adults with ADHD, process melatonin, for example, and some other things that we see that make the changes in the amount of daylight, make the time changes, make, all of those kinds of things impact those of us with ADHD more and differently than other people. And that's one of the reasons they think we have kind of wonky circadian rhythms sometimes compared to the rest of the population. And then you're exactly right. Like on top of that, it's not just a change, it's a dramatic, and it seemed to me more so this year, although I'm sure that's just my perception, but it seemed like the daylight just started to, I always say, shrink. Like the amount of daylight seemed to decrease very drastically.
Yeah.
In my opinion, this year, it felt like that for me anyway. And that may have something to do with sort of this eternal pandemic sort of way we're living or something. I don't know, that the passage of time feels a little bit different, but that really impacts me. The any time change, whether it's, travel in different time zones, daylight savings beginning or ending, and the change in the amount of sunlight in the day really impacts me dramatically.
And it's still decreasing, I think, until the first day of winter here in the Northern Hemisphere, which is, like around the 20th of December. So we still have a few more weeks where it's going to continue decreasing. And 4 o'clock p.m. it's, no, that's not a It's not dark at 4 p.m., but the sun sets at 10 past 4. And I keep saying, like, where I'm in the Boston area. I should be in the Atlantic time zone with Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit more sun. It affects me. I made a joke recently to people. I'm like, I want to hibernate until my birthday in the spring. or almost spring. My birthday is in March. And it's just, but some years I'm like, oh, I'm depressed. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm like, man, I'm just kind of like a bear who wants to hibernate or needs to hibernate. But sleeping 24/7 or being in bed 24/7 isn't going to work. But my daily activities are different, need to be different. My self-care routine than it was just a few weeks ago or over the summer. So that's something for me to really pay attention to, is to kind of work with my energy levels.
Absolutely.
I'm tired. I, probably need more sleep. Make sure I keep, eating healthy, make sure I keep exercising, pay attention to my what I take for vitamins and all that. But it's really important, I think, for everyone to just pay attention and work with your body and your system and your energy, not against it.
Absolutely. And you brought up a good point. As we're heading into this December holidays here, we just had our Thanksgiving in the US. I know Canada had theirs a few weeks ago, but we're heading into December holidays. For a lot of people, that's an emotional time anyway, for a variety of reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all have kind of, different stuff going on in our lives, whether it's loss, whether it's grief, whether it's family, stuff that you have to deal with that make the December holidays harder. And so that compounded with, or kind of alongside, the change in energy and the change in mood that can come with the change in seasons is a really important thing to pay attention to, right?
Yeah.
If you are someone who deals with mood disorders, which is very common with ADHD, whether that's depression or anxiety or, any of the things that kind of fall into the mood disorder category, it's really extra important that you're taking care of yourself physically and emotionally this time of year. See your therapist, see your counselor, work with your coach if that's what you need, but make sure you're taking care of your mental health, and make sure you're aware of when you're feeling different, whether it is mood, whether it is physical energy, whether it is emotional energy. I think having inattentive ADHD, that teasing out the mental energy and the physical energy and the mood can be really hard for me, because it all sort of just feels like I'm, kind of drained.
Yeah.
So, sometimes starting to work on one of those areas can shine a little bit of light on where you really need the most help, whether it is a therapist or a counselor, or whether it is, supplementing with vitamin D, whether it is light therapy, whether it is, upping your activity level, whether it is, getting more sleep. But really, you need to really start to pay attention, and don't just sort of, ignore it and tell yourself you need to just push harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, give yourself permission to be in that funk or but pay attention. Like you said, is it, if it's really impacting you negatively, talk to a therapist, a mental health professional, see a doctor, have a complete physical, have your vitamin D levels checked and all your other levels that could be off too. But I think that's that thing. Just give yourself permission first to feel it, to feel whether it's the physical, the emotional, the energy, whatever it is. And I just say funk because like you, I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg. And I think they're all negatively impacted. But I think just talking about it is helpful too, because I think I get through that too. That's not just me. I get it too, whether it's seasonal affective disorder or it's just I haven't seen the sun in forever.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with talking to other people about it. That's one of the things that's kind of wonderful about being an ADHD coach, is I talk to people with ADHD all day long. So sort of the commonalities are things that I get to share, and I get to, talk to people about, whether it's about me or about my clients. So knowing that I'm not the only one feeling yuck this time of year, makes it a little bit easier for me. It's not just me. It's, it's not just you. It's a lot of us. And there are plenty of reasons for it. It is a little depressing to, to get up and go to work in the dark and to come home in the dark. And I try not to complain because I do have clients from all over the world. I mean, I have one client always comes to mind who lives in, the much, much further north in Alaska. My son's I have clients in Europe. My son's in the northern part of Germany. They've got like way worse, sort of way worse, in my opinion. Amount of sunlight in a day than we do. I mean, but it really can be impactful.
Yeah. So I think getting back to self-care, I think this is where it makes sense to practice extra self-care, up your self-care, reevaluate your self-care routine if you even have one, or start one. But I think the biggest one is being gentle with yourself. Okay. And then for me, I sleep more during this time of year, and there are times where it's hard for me to fall asleep. I mean, I have been asleep before midnight and I never fall asleep before midnight. I've been asleep between like 10 p.m. and midnight for the past 3 or 4 days. But that's what I need. And I'm not sick, but I'm making sure I'm taking more vitamin C, eating well and all that, checking my temperature to make sure I'm not sick, because with everything going on in the world with COVID, I want to make sure I'm healthy, but that sleep is important for me. And that's one of my big self-care things that I pay more attention to. I allow myself to get more sleep during this time of year.
That's important, right? And I think it really is about being aware and being nice to yourself, right? Yeah. I mean, if you feel down, if you feel blue, if you're in a funk, if you need help, ask for it. But none of that, no matter whether it's something you need to talk with a counselor about, talk to your physician about, talk to a therapist or a mental health professional about, there's still nothing wrong with that, right?
No,
and you still need to be nice to you. You still need to be kind to you, and try to give yourself what you need and cut yourself some slack, right? We all go through rough times. We all go through times where we need more help than others. And this time of year can be rough for lots and lots of. Anything else, or any last thoughts you want to share with our listeners?
Also, we're focusing on the negative of this, the fact that our moods are changed and there's lack of sunlight, but making sure we add in fun, positive stuff, whether it's affirmation, watching a comedy, being with people we enjoy. Those are as important as, focusing, I shouldn't say focusing on the negative, but paying attention to the practical stuff, but also add joy, add positive stuff, add fun. And we all need it more than ever with all the craziness in the past couple of years.
Absolutely. And, gratitude can go a long way too, right?
Yes.
Like really, finding ways to incorporate gratitude in your day, kind of in an ongoing basis is also really important. I think of all of those things. For me, part of self-care is making sure I'm having fun, making sure I'm engaging with people who get me and appreciate me and who I enjoy, and making sure I'm doing things that I enjoy and that, either bring me some sort of satisfaction or just plain old fun. I mean, I think that's a really important part of taking care of yourself in general all year long, right? And you shouldn't ever have to feel like you have to, kind of earn the fun or earn the joy. That's a kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a
it's not a reward. It's not a reward.
It shouldn't be.
It's a need.
It's an unhealthy way to look at it. And it's, it's also, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? There's always more that every single one of us can do in any given day. You still deserve to take care of yourself. You still deserve to do the things that feed your soul, that bring you joy, that are fun, that improve your quality of life. And you may be surprised at how much more you can get done when you do anyway, right? When you put it first. I mean, that's one of those sort of misperceptions I hear a lot from my clients with ADHD. I'm too busy, or I'm too far behind to do these things. And that is not a helpful or healthy way to look at it.
Adding fun, play, positive energy, and all that changes your brain chemistry for the better. It helps you be more healthy. So there's a lot to it. It's not just, hey, have fun because I said so.
Right.
There's research and data to support that. And if you're like Lynne and me and other people listening, in this time of year is tough because of all the changes, it can be hard to say, oh, I'm going to shift to that fun. I need play. So give yourself permission for that. and be aware that that is just as important for me too, as, you know, getting that extra sleep, as exercising, as taking my vitamins. And, you know, sometimes it can be harder to you know, get out there and have, you don't have to get out there. It could just be watching something, listening to something, but that is just as important. And that's even part of self-care, that fun and play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So give yourself permission, know that you're not alone, and know that it's going to be okay, and ask for help if you need it, right? It's we're all in this together, and we'll all get through it together. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Tara. I hope you guys found this helpful. It's a really common problem this time of year, and there really are some practical things and some helpful things you can do to help, you know, get yourself out of the funk if that's where you're finding yourself this time of year. And if you want to engage with us or connect, please feel free to join us in the ADHD Support Talk Facebook community. We'd love to have you and get your insight and ideas about episodes and those sort of things, and keep the conversation going. So thanks so much, Tara, for being here today. Thank you all for listening. And as always, we appreciate your attention. Take care.